My Indian name is QuaQolt. My dad comes from Lummi. My mom Barbara Smith, she comes from Sartlip. I grew up in both places. I grew up around alcohol all my life, all my childhood life, and that's all I knew. That and violence. I started drinking at a young age anyways. I was just turning 13, I think. And then I ended up in our longhouse. That was supposed to straighten me out, but to be honest, it made me worse. I just came out and my parents had separated just after I got out, and then that's when my journey of alcoholism began. I'd move home to Lummi and stay with my dad for a while and go to school there and meet up with some friends, hang out, get drunk. Sometimes we end up, I was so drunk, I end up in different cities. Some of those friends are gone now. It's kind of hard to believe. I was just sharing with my wife here not too long ago that quite a few of my friends are gone already that I went to school with, that I drank with. There's some on the streets in Victoria. So during that time, my younger days, I just kept drinking. That's all I knew. Moving back and forth from Lummi to Victoria, Drink in Victoria. My last few days, few months of drinking, I become a closet drinker. And I started drinking at work. I did janitorial work all my life. And I did drink before work, drink during work, and drink after work. That's how bad it got for me. And one thing that I always share with people, when I used to drink, I was real racist when I used to drink. I didn't like white people. I used to go up to guys in Victoria when I was drunk and just hit them for no reason, just because they're white. But lately I discovered why I was that way. It was because of the way I was treated in school. Just started filling out my day school papers, and all these memories start coming back. It's stuff I thought I forgot about. Stuff I didn't want to remember. I quit drinking when I was, I think, 21. 1992 is when I quit anyways. Gee, it's almost 30 years ago. This summer will be 30. I think so. I went to Round Lake Treatment Center. And that did wonders for me. Before I went there, it was kind of funny because one of the guys I used to fight with when I was drinking, him and I used to fight all the time. And we never knew why we were fighting. Then he's the one that helped me sober up. He was the one right there. It was like, wow. He brought me to AA meetings and NA meetings. That was the beginning of my sobriety. And then he brought me to see a counselor. My counselor signed me up at Round Lake right away. And So I went to Round Lake, and I was only supposed to stay there for 6 weeks, but because I had so much issues going on in my life, they asked me to stay an extra 3, so I stayed 9 weeks. And it was something, you know, to hear that it wasn't just me struggling with alcohol. I was the youngest in my group for a while, and then the oldest was actually 82, 83, him and his wife. You know, they were there for their alcoholism problem and what they went through in their life. And then the last couple of weeks we were there, while I was there, that really opened my eyes. As they were starting the adolescent program for kids that had trouble with alcohol, sniffing gas, sniffing glue, drinking that Listerine stuff that had alcohol. You know, these were kids from the age of 10 to 18. And it was so hard to see the little ones, you know, the little kids, the younger ones, there for their problem, what they know, or what they knew at the time. How I stayed sober was I really adopted culture into my life. My ex-wife's culture from Hausa. I started singing with them. My family belongs to the powwow. I didn't sing, but I was there. Our longhouse, the canoes being out in the water. You know, I really looked for all kinds of things to keep me sober. You know, connection to culture, one way or another. And I guess you could say I took that slogan and what Round Lake says, culture's treatment. So that's how I managed to stay sober all these years. I've been through hell and back many times in my sobriety, and not once did I turn to drinking, using drugs. I was tested over and over. Friends dying, family dying, alcohol sitting right in front of me. And I still said no, because I knew what it would do to me if I started drinking again. I remember the old me when I used to drink. And I share that time and time with my wife. I saying if I started drinking, I'd be that asshole all over again. Excuse my language. You know, it's true. I was that person. You know, I got all scars in my arms. Over the past few years, I've been involved with the 1910 Shaker Faith, thanks to Thomas and his late dad and Sharon. I really thank you guys for that. And then Patty and Barb after that, they started picking me up. Before I started going to Shaker Church, I had witnessed something that I didn't want to see in my life. And before I even brought it out to everybody, the Shaker Faith was in my home. They were to be there to help my brother, but they ended up helping me too. And they worked on me, worked on me. And when everything was done and over with, and the message was coming out that I was halfway in my grave spiritually. And it was because of what I witnessed in my life just a few years before. I never told anybody that, what was going on with me. The Shaker Faith brought it out. Creator God brought it out. You know, without that, or without the Shaker faith, or church, I'd probably still be lost. You know, without the Shaker church, I wouldn't be here. You know, I grew up in the Shaker church, around the Shaker church, same with our big house, powwows. But because of my drinking days, I pushed a lot of that away. And I'm just grateful today I'm sober and I can share my story, well, most of it. I won't go into detail of what, everything. But I met my wife here and she's been great support for me. We've been great support for one another. We always find a way, one way or another, to support each other. You know, we're always praying in the car. You know, we could be driving down the road and we're having our own little shake in our car. And, you know, that makes me feel good. You know, she'd start a song and I'd be sitting there and it's like she knows I'm feeling hurt inside. So she'd start singing and I'd get going with her. There we go, we're having our own little shake even though we're driving down the road. Praying away. I'm really grateful that, you know, I met Andrea. And she's been great support for me throughout the time we've been together. She understands what I'm going through. And remind her why I'm sober too. I didn't have that problem with drugs. I didn't care for it. My drinking problem was always that Jack Daniels whiskey all the time. That was my favorite. That's what got me into a lot of trouble. But you know, I had that chance to, with my late mother, I took care of her for the last 4.5 years of her life. I kept her home like I promised. She left us when we were at home. But I always share this with everybody that my mom sobered up 1 month after me. And I didn't realize that right away. And I just started sharing that recently. My mom quit drinking right after I did. I was reading some of the letters my mom wrote to me when I wasn't around like that. You know, she was a great support for me. She would send me cards now and then, telling me how proud she is. But you know, I took care of my mom. I got to apologize to her for everything I'd done wrong in my life, for shaming myself and shaming the family. You know, I really put my family through hell in my drinking days. You know, I do my best to apologize to everyone that I can. You know, even though I'm 30 years sober today, I still try to do that. I still try to reach out to some of my family and say I'm sorry for what I've done to you. I'm sorry for dragging our name through the mud. But today I'm sober. I'm able to apologize. I'm able to help people. You know, I'm always out there helping people, you know, where I can. And lately I've been helping at the church and really thinking about our elders that built that church. And it's like, wow, these guys really put their heart and mind and spirit into this church, because some of those nails were really hard to pull out. Some parts I had to take out to replace. You know, I had the chance to listen to the elders that were there when I started going to church and started hearing the stories from Thomas and his late dad, Patty, I started hearing all the stories about, how church used to be, and well, still is in some ways, in most ways. So I'm up there, and I do the best I can to help the church out because they brought me back to life. I like to say I was reborn 3 times. Big house, whatever, my belly button birthday 4 times. Big house, and then, that's 3. Shake a church. I've been through a lot of challenges in my life. And I'm still sober today. And the reason why I'm sober today is because I reach out for help when I need to. I'm not ashamed to say I've been to Tsawout and Hillaire 4 or 5 times already for trauma, for PTSD. It's always important to reach out for that help, no matter how old or how young you are. To reach out for that help, they're always going to be there. And that's what was brought to me when I quit drinking. One of my drinking enemies was my help. And I always just encourage everyone to look for that help, look for a counselor, go to a treatment center. Get back into culture, adopt someone else's culture, really put your heart and mind into it. Because we're rich with culture all around us. Without that, I wouldn't be sober. Without that. It's really important for our young people to reach out for that help. And that's what they need to hear. That's what they need to hear, that they're loved, they're cared for, that they're needed. When I was in my last group in trauma in Tsawout and Hillaire, there's a young girl there, and I said to her the day I left, I said, don't you start drinking again. I said, you're our future. We need you here. Doesn't matter what nation she was from. She was from up in the interior. I encouraged her not to drink. It was good to see her there reaching out for that help, and that's what a lot of our young people from all over the place need to do. But anyways, I've been through choices. I went through choices. I can't remember what year that was. And I've been through VLES. That program is no longer available. And Round Lake, I've been through that. I've been through a few parenting courses. And again, back to Tsawout and Hillaire and back to Round Lake. I'm always looking for that help, for growth. I listen to our elders that we have. I remember the past words from elders that are gone now. And yeah, it's what our young people needs. Just to keep our voices going. To make our footprint bigger on this earth once again. They need to stay clean and sober and reach out for help. Because I know if I could do it while I was young, so can they, even if they're younger than me. Sometimes I still find it hard to believe it's went on 30 years, like, wow. That's a long time. And everything I've been through, and I'm still sober today. I'm still sober today. Yeah, that would be the big message for the young ones today. Reach out for that help. Reach out to your parents, grandparents, uncles, aunties, cousins. Or look for someone who's clean and sober, that understands what they're going through. Someone that's been there. You know, they need to do that. They need to hear that. You know. It's really important that they do that. You know, my kids are very fortunate. They never seen that side of me when I used to drink. You know, they never seen me under the influence or of anything. So I'm really grateful for that. But I always encourage my own kids, you know, reach out for that help when they need it. It's really important that our future generation, my kids and now one great grandson I have, and have another great grandson on the way. It's like, wow. You know, it's awesome. It's awesome being a grandparent, great grandparent. You know, it took me a little while for that to sink in, great grandparent. But yeah, my granddaughter, she had her baby boy. I was really, really happy for him. But I was, main message I keep saying is reach out for that help. You're not alone. Anybody, young or old, teenager, a senior, elder, whichever you want, you're not alone. Reach out for that help. When you're feeling like you want that one drink, and that one drink will turn into two, then it'll turn into 1,000. Before you reach out, ask for help. I know that marijuana is legal nowadays, but I still believe to me, it's still a drug and it messes up our people. I don't agree with that marijuana stuff because it fogs the mind. That's the way I see it. And then you lose who you are. Before you smoke that joint or that bong, reach out for that help. And have suicidal thoughts, reach out for that help. You're not alone. It's really important that they know we're not alone. I can keep saying that over and over. They're not alone. Got support all over. It's there. Just got to pray. Look for it. Creator God will bring them people in front of you at the right time. At the right time in your life. So always remember there's people out there to help. There's people like myself, my wife, and the ones that spoke before me, the ones that are sitting in this room with us now. They're all here to help us one way or another. We don't know it all, but we can support you. You know, we can lend our or ears to you, give you a hug if needed, let you cry if you need to cry, scream if you have to scream. You know, it's part of support for one another, love one another, like they say in our church, and love one another, forgive one another, help one another. You know, that's what we got to do. When someone reaches out for help, don't judge them. Hold their hand and walk with them. You know, that's what was done with me when I quit drinking. People held my hand and walked with me, not against me, not over me. I had great support in my early days of sobriety. So I'm really grateful today for who I am. Who I become now that I've been sober all these years. I'm really proud of myself for being sober for all these years. So I guess that would probably be about it for myself. Just stay sober, one day at a time, reach out for help. No matter where you're at, how old you are, young, old, reach out for help. There's always somebody there. Hi, Scott.